Lucky you've been practicing with those records.
Yeah, at least I'll be familiar with some of the library.
Don't try to do too much tonight, Rick. The important thing is just keep a good steady beat.
Oh, I will.
Well, and don't play the bass drum too loud. If there's anything that makes a band sound soggy, it's the heavy foot on the bass drum.
I know that, Pop.
See, listen for the notes on the string bass. If you can't hear those, then you know you're playing too loud.
Well, I wouldn't make too many suggestions, dear. Maybe a lot of things have changed since you had a band.
Well, sure, but the basic principles of dance music never change.
Hey, Vinyl Community, Steve here at FlipSideCT, and back, and almost couldn't do this video because just very overwhelmed with many things, life, but I've been sort of excited to get a few of these videos out here because I tell you, I got about 3 months, 4 months of listening to do with the albums that I have, and I got a batch here to show you. So I know I talked in my last video I was going to get up an album and do this, do a review on this one album from '74, and I took notes and compiled it, and I'm getting close, but it's like 27 pages of notes. So you figure a minute a page, 2 minutes a page. I'm in trouble. So I got a lot of cool information, so I got to figure out what to do, how to do this to make people at least absorbed to watch the whole thing. I find it fascinating and interesting information, so we'll see how that flows. Other thing I want to mention, in my last video I talked about the album, the first album from Free, and I mentioned Steve Miller, Grandma's Handbag. Thank you for questioning me. I had mentioned there was Steve Miller who played piano on that. It's not the Steve Miller from America. It's one from UK, from a band called Delivery. So let's put that aside here. So I got a few albums here. Most are purchases from online in this batch, and I think one from a store. Anyway, like I said, I got a bunch, and I'm really just psyched to turn some people on, and again, some of you know this already, which is cool. And the first one I want to talk about is a band that is from Sacramento. They are from the mid-70s to 80s, and this is a reissue, of course. It came out in 2010, and actually I think the guy who worked with them on this album is selling it. He's the one that put it out. The band is called Ozzy, and like I said, out of Sacramento, and Ozzy, proto-punk, art punk, obscure 70s rock. They got it all here. Again, I keep saying talented musicians with some of these bands, and it just blows my mind how good some of these guys are. And this is a comp album, so there's like a whole slew of songs on here, and really different ones. Not all great. There is some really good sounds, though. They're really influenced by Beefheart, but if you like Devo, Sparks, Zappa, some Iggy Pop, Stooges sound, I'm telling you, just check these guys out. Give it a listen. These are outtakes and demos, because they never really put anything serious out.
Seen eyes, metalloid skill, but that can't tell you about the bag I'm ill. Android, Android love, Android, Android, Android love, Android, Android love, Android love. You say I'm weird, you say I'm strange.
There's a story in here. I don't want to go through the whole thing but they were known in the time. They opened up for the Talking Heads, you know, in that 70s, mid-70s time frame. So they had that caliber of that art punk, so they call it. Some glammy, some prog sounds in here, like I said, you know, with those bands that they're a tight band and proficient. And I really dug this when I first heard it. The songs fluctuate, you know, in sound. 24 songs. They give you a lot here. And Scott Soriano's the guy, and he's the one that's actually selling it. You know, he initialed it. He says, "I'm not a big part of this, but I'll sign it anyway." I'm not a big person with the signatures, but you know how he did it. He put this together, and he sells it on Discogs. So check this out if you can. Ozzy, fun, good type of music that's going to bring you all over the place. Thanks to Stav, who I don't see, he's obsolete now. Vinyl Greek, I know he's busy doing other things and got family. You know, we miss him. From 2013, he told me about this album. I just immediately got it. Didn't have to even, you know, hesitate, pull the trigger real quickly. 2013, this is live. Spaces, and it's modern classical. It's sentimental, meditative type music. You know, that type of genre. The atmospheric, wonderful piano, and again, it's a live project. And you know, some songs are long, but it's still acceptable. Thanks, Stop. I hope to talk to you soon. And this one is on, you know, a lot of people know about this, and nothing new here, but I needed to get it. One of these classic ones for the collection. And Cluster, and however you pronounce this one, whatever. Similar to Eno's Another Green World. That type of atmospheric, electronic. It's much different than the prior Cluster albums. You know, Mobius, and it's just a cool album to have. I'm really glad I got the reissue. It's some may think that the structure's too weak on these. Others just love it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. And for 1976, it's an album that's sort of ahead of its time, and pretty deep, atmospheric. It's an essential for krautrock, ambient, and electronic. Very enjoyable. The next one I have is a band from Italy, and this is also in a genre of krautrock, electronic. Sensations Fix. This is a reissue. This album came out in 1974. 3 members in the band. One of them is American, the one that plays drums. Psych, prog, space rock. You get the picture. Krautrock, and many influences here. And first time vinyl reissue. Okay. Recommended for fans of Cluster, Popol Vuh, the Doriti Column. So anyway, not overproduced, and although they're an Italian band, they're philosophically linked to krautrock, and you know, it's mostly instrumentals, but it's they're groove oriented and atmospheric music. Just cool to have. I keep saying that, what the hell. This next band, one I don't hear in the VC, and I just have to turn people on. If you have, I'm sure there's photos. Is there something in here? Oh. And if you, I'm sure there's folks that have seen this, heard this. Let me know and give. I'm sure you love it. The band is called Felt. This one is The Strange Idols Pattern and the Other Short Stories. This is 1979. They're from Warwickshire, UK, and it's post-punk, jangle pop, that genre. Third album from 1984, and the guitarist and singer his name is Lawrence. He just uses one name. He, after they disbanded, he went on and did some other work, but a very talented folk there. During the 80s, the Felt made 10 albums, and they did that in 10 years. So it's a pretty good run. They did it for Cherry Red and Creation label, and I'll let you be the judge on how cool this band is.
Hey, you can stop that game. I see your motives plain. You just wanna stop the rain. And when I close my eyes, I see a world of darkening skies, through terror and surprise.
This is actually complete BBC sessions.
Trying to say it's over.
From them. And this album is just uplifting. It's melodic. It moves in a positive direction. It's happy. I just love this album. And look into the band Felt, please. The last one here. Again, another album I know the VC knows about, and I just can't believe when I flipped through. I was at Replay Records in Hamden, Connecticut, and he had Morgan sitting there as a reissue. I had no idea this was. No questions asked. You pick this up if you see this. I think it goes about for $150, the original, which I have seen. American Psych rock band from 1969 from Long Island, New York. Only album they put out. Just pure goodness of the genre. All the instruments and lyrics are just pure psych. The vocal really gets pushed here, and it has a great range, and the guitars, that distorted fuzz, the psych. So don't hesitate. Pull this from the rack if you see it, and I can't even think of how many people would dislike this one. This album got great reviews at the time, and Steve Morgan, this is named after, actually went to the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art, and asked them if he could use the screamer from Edvard Munch, and they basically said, "What, are you kidding me? Not for rock and roll." But he actually spoke to them because he was really a very knowledgeable person, and after speaking with them, they said, "Absolutely, you can use it, especially for this rock and roll album." So they got it, and they understood. Get this album for the collection if you don't have it. Listen to it, enjoy it. But it's all about the turn on, folks. It's all it is. It's not how much you have, or how much you could buy. Someone could buy and buy and buy and buy, and not listen, not enjoy. But it's about the turn on with the VC here. Thank you so much. Let's keep listening to music. It's tough times out there. Let's enjoy it.